Guys, it's Miss Coconut. How are you doing? I'm doing well. So, the news has been all abuzz about Utah. Apparently, in Utah, it was discovered that someone had set in the banks of the canyon a silver-like monument. Okay, they're calling it a monolith, which it really isn't, but okay. But it seems to be man-made and not like alien, even though, of course, everyone is saying, oh, the aliens did it. The aliens set this down in the desert for no reason. But some people have actually gone there to look at it, and they were all saying that, even though it was strange, because it's like sort of triangular in its shape, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and no one knows how it got there because this is private land. They don't know who or what or why. Okay. But if that wasn't weird enough, it disappeared. But they were saying, I read reports that said this statue had been there for years. So why all of a sudden did some ranger flying overhead notice it and decide to call it in? And now all of the news media picked it up and started reporting the story. So, when they tell us these things, there's always some hidden meaning to this, okay? And I kind of have my suspicions. And just like that, it was gone. It disappeared. I guess in the middle of the night, I don't know. But it's no longer there. And instead, what is there is a small pyramid surrounded with some statues that are placed. Now, we know that this land really is holy land, and it did belong to the Aboriginal people of that land, and it was taken away from them, okay? Utah is no stranger to strange phenomena, okay? In fact, there's a strip of land in Utah that is called UFO Alley. So that tells you something. People that have been able to go see this little monument before it mysteriously disappeared have lots of accounts. Look on TikTok, look on Instagram, and you'll see people showing their videos. Some people say actually in the formation of the rock surrounding this monolith, you can see faces etched into the rock, and even the pyramid that is left. I kind of blew it up for you because I can totally see an Olmec head face in that rock formation in that little pyramid. So the triangle and the pyramid are both synonymous with the Merkaba, which is your light body, okay? The triangle is your light body. So is it telling us that the aliens are coming, or is it telling us that you have to get yourself ready? Not ready because the end of the world is coming, but the end of your world is coming. We all have to meet our maker one day. There's more to this story that's developing, and we're going to go over that. I just wanted to kind of express topically what came to me as I watched this unfold. So very interesting, right? But Utah is no stranger to science fiction. It is one of the most science fiction consuming states that we could have. Anyway, in Utah, there's a ranch called Skinwalker Ranch, okay? And for years, it is known that on this ranch, they have observed crop circles, UFO lights, and their cattle have been mutilated. So much to the extent that the owners sold the ranch because they could no longer deal with the paranormal activity. And it is said that on this ranch, the reason why it's called Skinwalker is because it's associated with an old Navajo myth about Navajo witches being able to transform themselves, and that is called a skinwalker, okay, because it can change its appearance. Lots of paranormal activity occur on this land because it is said that it is burial ground. And you know what happens when you start to tinkering with the indigenous people of the land's burial grounds. So Navajo, they are known to be the original landowners of this space, and a lot of people feel like the spirits are coming back to haunt different individuals that have taken over this land when they weren't supposed to. So Utah is known like to be Sci-Fi Alley. In fact, they're saying that they consume, they purchase, and they write the majority of the science fiction that is actually put out. I was like mind boggled. But I'm going to tell you why. So even the author of Battlestar Galactica is said to be a Mormon. Okay, so we know Utah is associated with the Mormons. And I was about to segue into that. Because at the Mormon University, they actually hold a yearly convention about science fiction, which is so bizarre, right? You think like this is a religious movement. The Mormons, they're a religion, okay? And they're called the Latter-day Saints. So they have a whole different set of beliefs based on their founder, Joseph Smith, who, by the way, was murdered. That's been a theme lately with these leaders, or the founders of these religious movements, right? He was murdered. But anyway, the story goes, Joseph Smith had a vision by an angel called Moroni, which sounds like moron to me. And this angel said to him, I have some, holy scriptures for you. Go dig under this tree and you'll find it. So the story says Joseph Smith, he was in New York actually. And he dug up where the angel had directed him and found some golden plates, and he transcribed them into the scriptures that is known as the doctrine of the Mormon or the Latter-day Saints, okay? And it's an offshoot of Christianity. One of the things that they believe, and I don't want to get a lot of flack for this. Every time I talk about religious people want to act crazy, but I'm just telling you what they say. I'm not even really giving my opinion. I mean, I did call it bizarre because it is a little bizarre that there's a whole religion, another religion, based around supernatural occurrences. And they weave the UFO mythology into their doctrine, quiet as kept. I don't think they out loud say it. But if the church is having a sci-fi convention every year, that just tells you. If Utah consumes the most science fiction out of any region, that tells you something. If they produce in the top 60% of sci-fi writers, authors, right, playwrights, that's telling you something. So, quiet as kept, it is said in the Mormon religion, I don't know if this is true. This is what it said, that they have always been taught that God has created other heavens, other planets with other inhabitants. And that one day they may too get their own planet. This is what I was told. I don't know. I'm not a professor of theology. I just kind of like to read a lot and get some interesting tidbits about what's going on in the world. So it is no surprise to me that in Utah is trending right now for this monolith statue that was found in the desert, surrounded by rocks. No one knows how it got there. Some people said it felt like cardboard when they knocked on it. Some people said there's all these fingerprints on it that can't be erased. I mean, the stories are just out of control. But again, it's no surprise to me because Utah has a whole section of land that's called UFO Alley. In fact, there was a spacecraft that crashed in the desert a few years ago, and NASA explained it away by saying it was just like a satellite or something. But, that doesn't mean anything because the government always tells us whatever and we just believe it because what proof do we have? And honestly, I'm the type of person, I don't even want proof about anything because I don't want no men in black knocking on my door. No men in black knocking on my door. I don't want it. Okay, so it is not lost on me that the Utah monolith and the pyramid that was left there are both obelisk of a sort, meaning it is representation of a phallic symbol, which you see all over the world, which is directly related to Baal worship. Okay? And so there's always this undercurrent with the powers that be, where they're always talking to us in code, and it seems as if we're the ones that don't know what they're saying. But these monuments traditionally were always erected as a celebration of the dead, as a reverence to the dead. Whether it is a pyramid or obelisk, these were ancient symbols for the sun god, okay? And it is said that it's like a petrified sun ray when you look at it. As you can see, it's pointing up towards the heaven. So is it telling us to worship something? Is it telling us to worship self? Is it telling us that we need to look up towards the heavens for help, as in the aliens are coming? Honey, we could be here all night deciphering this stuff. In the end, it's all going to mean what you think it means anyway, because there is no one expert. I listen to a lot of the anthropologists, and honestly, they're so opinionated as well with what they believe, but they're piecing it together as just like we are. The only difference is sometimes they actually get to go to these, lands and see these different structures, but the writings are there for anyone that has time to kind of sit with the information. And I know a lot of it is very heavy. Most times I have to go through information a few times to absorb what is being said. And it's okay to do that. We have a lifetime, right, to study. And so this is always going to be a very fascinating subject for me. And I thank each and every one of you for listening. We'll be back, as always, on Machine Brezzy.